not here to take the call right now, so I'll leave a message and we'll get back to you.
Okay, yeah, wait. Hello? Okay, no problem, mate.
It is submitted that the schedules of telephone evidence, which were prepared for trial by Essex Police, were manufactured to underpin Nicholls' testimony by omitting, switching, and inaccurately attributing data. The Commission has considered all of the applicant's submissions in relation to the telephone schedules, but takes the view that the points raised are not new for the Commission's purposes. When the Court of Appeal considered the applicant's renewed application for leave to appeal against conviction in January 1999, the Court stated, "In Ground 8, it is argued that the judge wrongfully omitted evidence which was inaccurate in detail and used to corroborate false claims by the prosecution. This relates in the main schedules of telephone calls, which were laid before the jury. It may very well be that there were errors in such schedules. It would indeed be surprising if there were not. It does not, however, appear, in particular, so far as the telephone calls on the day of the alleged murders are concerned, that there were errors which in any way put a false gloss on the case." Mr. Steele's submissions in relation to alleged manipulation of trial telephone schedules were also considered during the Commission's first review of his case. When the Commission referred the case to the Court of Appeal on the 15th of December 2004, it expressed the view that there was nothing to this submission beyond the argument presented to the Court of Appeal on Steele's application for leave to appeal. It is in this context that the Commission has considered Steele's numerous renewed submissions in relation to telephone schedules. The following are the Commission's responses to individual submissions. Omission of data. The applicants have pointed out that the telephone data reveals that Tate was in contact with Paul Edwards on the evening of the murders, most notably the last call made by Tate's mobile 923 on 1826 that day, and Tucker, who was in touch with Ray Sullivan and Michael Bowman on the afternoon and evening of the murders. The applicants highlight that none of the calls feature in the trial schedules of telephone evidence. It is submitted that the police withheld details of these calls from the schedules as a way of concealing all references to Edwards, Sullivan and Bowman. The Commission has considered this submission, but observes that it was made clear to the jury that the trial schedules only included calls between specified telephone numbers. For example, the schedule labelled Exhibit JWM2 only featured calls between telephone numbers listed on the laminate sheet for that exhibit, which does not include the telephones of Edwards, Sullivan or Bowman. The trial judge explained the general concept to the jury in the following terms. The main schedule, of course, does not include every call. It only includes calls to another number on the schedule of names set out in the plasticized schedule, Exhibit 249. You know that there are 31 names there. Outside calls are not included, of course, just calls between those 31 numbers. In the light of this clear direction, the Commission does not consider that it can be said that the trial jury was in any way misled about the nature of the trial schedules or the telephone calls which they included. In any event, although the Edwards, Sullivan and Bowman calls were not included in the trial schedules, the fact of those calls was disclosed to the defence since they appeared in the itemised billing and beacon data for the victims' phones. It was open to the defence to prepare their own telephone schedules which empathised the Edwards, Sullivan and Bowman calls, if the defence wished to do so. The Commission does not consider that this submission regarding the Edwards, Sullivan and Bowman calls gives rise to a real possibility that the Court of Appeal would overturn the convictions in this case. The applicants also submit that the trial schedules omitted reference to a call made by Mobile 316 to the landline number, the family home of Liz Fletcher, a girlfriend of Pat Tate, at 2141 on the 6th of December 1995. The applicants state that the fact of this call did not become known to them until a detailed schedule of calls entitled All Phone Calls for the 6th of December 1995, dated the 15th of January 1996, was disclosed to them prior to the 2006 appeal to the Court of Appeal. The applicants submit that the 2141 call shows that Pat Tate was alive and making telephone calls well after 7 p.m. on the 6th of December 1995, and this severely damages Nichols's version of events. The Commission has considered this submission, but observes once again that the reason that the 2141 call does not appear in the trial schedule, JMW2, is because the schedule only contained calls between the specified telephones listed on the laminated sheet for that exhibit and is not included on that sheet. However, the itemised billing for mobile 316 was exhibited at trial, so the fact of the 2141 call was disclosed to the defence. The applicants suggest that notwithstanding the disclosure of the 2141 call via exhibit ESD1, the Crown's decision not to include this call in the trial schedule was a deliberate attempt to mislead the jury and to distract attention from a call made by one of the victims well after the time of the murders, as alleged by Darren Nichols. The Commission does not consider this to be correct. There is no evidence that Mr Tate had mobile 316 in his possession on the evening of the 6th of December 95. The only telephone discovered on his person on the 7th of December 95 was the one which became exhibit PSB 43 at trial, referred to as the mobile 923. This being the case, there would have been a greater danger of misleading the jury if the 2141 call had been included in the trial schedule. The Commission considers that the available evidence actually points towards Liz Fletcher having had mobile 316 in her possession on the 6th of December 95. Police message M165, dated on the 8th of December 1995, details a message from Anne-Marie Whitehead, Tucker's girlfriend, that Tate's old mobile is in the possession of a female called Liz Fletcher. DC Winston's report, R8A, dated 11th of December 1995, describes attending Tate's home address with Sarah Saunders on the 9th of December 95, when Miss Fletcher arrived and returned the front door keys to the premises, keys to the Mercedes car, and Miss Saunders' mobile phone. The Commission notes that the telephone bill for mobile 316 was in Sarah Saunders' name. In a police interview on the 13th of June 1996, Sarah Saunders describes the same occasion when, in company with Essex police, she met Liz Fletcher at Tate's address, and Miss Fletcher returned the mobile phone, which was registered in her, Miss Saunders' name. The calls for mobile 316 on the 6th of December 1995, which appear in trial exhibit ESD1 and is scheduled entitled All Phone Calls for the 6th of December 95, are at least as likely to have been made by Liz Fletcher as by Tate. The Commission notes that the telephone number, which was Miss Fletcher's home number, was called twice by mobile 316 on the 6th of December 1995. This could well indicate Miss Fletcher telephoning her home. In this connection, the Commission also observes that mobile 316 proceeded to call the Fletcher home on the 7th and 8th of December 1995, after Tate's body had been discovered. The Commission notes that Steele's submission that the calls from mobile 316 on the 6th of December 1995 are likely to have been calls from Tate to Liz Fletcher, which are described in Fletcher's witness statement. However, the Commission does not consider this to be correct. All of the calls from Tate, which Fletcher describes in her statement, can be accounted for using the billing for Tate's landline and the billing for his mobile phone 923. In light of those points, the Commission considers that it is entirely reasonable for the 2141 call from the mobile 316 not to be included in the trial schedule of telephone calls. The Commission does not consider that the applicant's submission on this matter give rise to a real possibility that the Court of Appeal would overturn the convictions if the case were referred. A further alleged omission from the trial telephone schedule is the call from Craig Rolfe's mobile telephone 0378 307 404 to an unknown telephone number 0374 722 850, made at 11:09 am on the 6th of December 1995. Once again, the reason that this 11:09 call does not appear in the telephone schedule JWM2 is because the schedule will only contain calls between the specified telephone listings on the laminate sheet for that exhibit. 0374 722 850 was not one of those telephones. In any event, the Commission considers that calls from mobile telephone 0378 307 404 on the 6th of December 1995 are irrelevant, as there is no evidence that this telephone was in Rolf's possession on that day. Further alleged omissions from the trial telephone schedule include a call from Steele to the Great Bentley Park telephone kiosk on the 11th of November 1995 at 10:06 am and a call from the Halfway House telephone kiosk to Tate on the 5th of December 95 at 17:03. In both of these instances, the Commission understands that these calls were not included in the trial schedule because the number of the kiosks in question were not included on the laminate sheet for exhibit GMW2. The same is true for calls which were made from Tate's landline to the landline of Claire Kerry, one of his girlfriends, at 17:15 and 18:06 on the 6th of December 95. In all instances, the fact of these calls was revealed to the defence in that the relevant billing was disclosed. The applicants further submit that the trial telephone schedule omitted references to the call from Nichols to Steele on the 5th of November 95 at 20:46 and from Nichols to Steele on the 6th of November 95 at 16:36. The Commission notes that these omissions were raised by Steele at trial and were agreed by the Crown. The Commission also notes in relation to the 6th of November 95 call that Prosecution Counsel directed Steele to the telephone schedule which does include the call in question. The Commission does not consider that there is any new evidence in relation to these omitted calls which could give rise to a real possibility that the Court of Appeal would overturn the convictions.